This is an audiovisual record of the Reconnaissance Report filed by Expeditionary Officer Force on March 18th, 2022. This report is in regards to Core Keeper and details key elements our officers are trained to evaluate. Notice, this is an evaluation of an as-yet incomplete project which our officer was granted an early access key for. As such, time may have made portions of this report invalid. Core Keeper is a top-down survival adventure game where you, a member of a wilderness expedition, and up to 8 friends? What the fuck? 8? Holy shit, that's awesome. Are sucked into a deep underground ruin and must restore an ancient, unknown monolith, the Core. The developers describe it as a must-play for fans of Terraria and Stardew Valley. It has incredibly charming graphics and creates a wonderful sense of its environment with sound and visual design. Its core gameplay is enjoyable, though as with many games in this genre, it can be grindy and require a time commitment. The full report follows. Visually, Core Keeper is what it wants to be. It is a gorgeous pixel art game with a cohesive, beautiful art style. It knows what it wants, and every piece is put together to make it mesh. Both its visuals and its audio create a solid, practical, and beautiful world. Now, it is pixel art, which isn't for everyone, but I absolutely adore the tiny little things. Look at them. They're shaped like friends. They're a bunch of little 999s. The environment is incredibly, almost oppressively dark, and creates a sense of mystery and a layer of tension, though you're provided plenty of tools to overcome that obstacle. Enemies, while few in number, are varied across the biomes. This creates a unique feeling in each environment. As a survival adventure game, the core loop of gameplay involves adventuring out into the world, digging tunnels, exploring caves, finding resources, and bringing them all home in order to progress. Distinct biomes with specific materials available in them mean you don't have to go hunting randomly for the material you need. Need copper? Dirt biome. Tin? Clay caves. Iron? Stone ruins. No wild hunting at various Y levels and just hoping. This is further expanded by the fact that despite the constant oppressive darkness, you can see materials on your screen glimmering in that darkness. This again alleviates the need to hunt them down constantly as you can see them and dig straight to them. Tool repair systems, which allow you to scrap found equipment or earlier cheaper gear in order to repair your current ones, means you don't have to constantly replace your tools, meaning you're not constantly digging up new materials just to stay on par. Honestly, this game takes so many clues from both games and mods for games prior to it for quality of life things that you're likely to constantly find new things. Stick around for the additional notes where I've listed some of my top tips. Now, this can still be grindy due to the number of materials you need and the distance you have to travel in order to gather those materials. All in all, though, much of that is mitigated to allow you to enjoy the exploration part as much as the crafting and the resource hunting part. Now, beyond the standard explore, craft, and repeat loop, the game also has an at-home loop, akin to Stardew or other farming games. You can till soil and plant seeds which you water and grow, and you can go fishing, and then you can combine these things, cooking them into delicious foods that give you various buffs. These help with the core loop of exploring, but are not required, except for the not starving to death part. The building is perhaps the weakest part of the game, for me. There are a fair variety of options for tiles and decorations, but at least for me, there weren't enough, or at least nothing I was particularly interested in. Each tier of crafting grants a new set of tiles to build with, which is nice, and you can still do good things with them, but it takes a lot more creativity and work on your part. This is honestly fine. It doesn't detract from the game, but it definitely made me not want to spend too much time on my base itself, which is sad because, like in Terraria, you discover NPCs with housing needs who will move in if you make them a good home. Combat is fluid, and despite the really well-meshing graphics, which can sometimes hide enemies, the enemies' attacks are well telegraphed and avoidable if you're paying attention and are spatially aware. Occasionally, you'll get backed into an object you didn't realize was solid, and that might get you, but for the most part, if you're smart and careful, you can beat any standard enemy without any equipment whatsoever. Boss monsters are a different story. These are a challenge. Each one has its own unique systems and mechanics. Now, I don't want to give it away, But much like Terraria, you'll be making arenas and planning battle strategies around each of these bosses' unique systems. The only real complaint I have about combat is ranged combat. Not because it's bad, in fact it's actually very good. The problem is in the aiming. The reticle for aiming is kept equidistant, rotating around your character with your character. If you use the standard aim at mouse setup, this can make it incredibly difficult to figure out where long and short shots will land. You can use a mouse cursor, but even then I find that oftentimes when I think I should have hit an enemy, I won't. The hitboxes just feel kind of off. Otherwise though, the systems in this game are engaging, and while they do have an element of the grind many similar games do, they mitigate many of the more tedious and boring aspects through various quality of life design decisions. Now this is basically non-existent. That is to say, there's an intro which sets up the conceit of the game and throws you in, and there are characters in the form of bosses and NPCs, but you don't really talk to any of them. There's no dialogue, nor is there much in the way of text other than descriptor text after the intro, and even the descriptor text doesn't give you much lore or story. For those story heads who like this type of stuff, this can be a detractor. Personally, I think it's appropriate to what the game is. Would it be nice to have? Sure. Could you do storytelling through ambient lines, or descriptors, or strange tablets and stuff? Sure. But it doesn't hurt what the game wants to be by not being there. Now before my tips, I think it's worth noting that I played this game both in its open beta back in December and now. The stark contrast and addition of quality of life improvements and general changes and additions to gameplay between the two shows they hear and listen to their audience. On top of that, it bodes well for the future of the game that they're willing to build on and change much of the game in order to fit both their vision and what people are feeling. Hopefully this continues onward and into the future, even after the game's launch, much like Terraria did. If I could ask for one change personally, I find the divide between walls and floors, at least for natural tiles, to be really frustrating and annoying and mildly confusing, especially when walls are used for crafting but not floors. I still think these two should and could be merged. However, if there's an actual reason, besides giving me a bunch of tiles I never use and can't sell or scrap them, I'm listening! Anyway, some quality of life tips. Number one goes for every game, but check your keybinds. This is how I learned that in this game, you can press Q when you have a chest open to automatically move everything from your inventory into the open chest, if that thing already exists in the chest. This makes sorting so much easier. Number two, the keybinds also showed me, again, check your keybinds in every game, that pressing R will sort your inventory, and boy is this nice. Though I do wish there was an option to sort chests too. Number three, keep torches in your inventory, not your hotbar. You can hold left shift in order to pull them out at any time, lighting the area or placing them down on the ground with ease. When you release shift, it goes straight back to whatever tool you originally had there, though be careful, if you die while holding the torches out, the torches will be put back into your inventory, but the item that was originally in that slot will be dropped because it was in your inventory when you died. Number four, you can't beat them, just skip them. Bosses aren't really required except to complete the game. All the progression can be made outside of the bosses. You can ignore them and just gather more and more materials and grow more and more powerful and come back with a massive bombs to give them the old Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Fuck. I'm gonna have to reprimand him for that comment. Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright. Hope can't read that. Not that either. We'll, hold on one moment.
We here at the Reckonaissance Project do not condone the statements made by our officer within this report.
Final evaluation. Survival players and Terraria players, high value. Adventure players and Stardew fans, medium to high value. Lore keepers, low value. Others, medium value. Core Keeper does what it sets out to. At its core, oh fuck me. Rules of Three, is this funny yet? It is a beautiful, relaxing, and enjoyable survival game. Searching a strange underground realm and gathering materials and plants in order to grow your home and yourself. If you're a fan of Terraria or other survival adventure games like Minecraft, this game is definitely worth picking up. If you're a fan of pure adventure games who doesn't mind survival elements, or more casual games like Stardew Valley, you'll probably enjoy this as well, especially if you have friends who can handle the portions of the game you don't like. For people who are obsessed with the story and lore of a world, you might be able to drag some bits and bobs out of context or design, but otherwise this is a pretty bare bones story and it works well for the game, so you can probably just give this one a skip and watch people play. If you're still not sure, I definitely recommend giving it a try. It's a 13 USD game, so you're likely to get your money's worth even if it doesn't end up being totally for you. I've got $13 to toss down on the game just in case. Well, you can watch my stream highlights right here on youtube.com/RafeLT, or go over to twitch.tv/Force2Reckon, where, at least for a while after this report, I'll be occasionally streaming this game with friends. Sorry, where were we? Oh, yeah. End report. Are sucked into a deep underground.